we absolutely won't be sold short.
You see somebody who's happy and you say, oh, they're just happy because they have everything I want. But no, they have everything you want because they're happy.
Once you know your value, once you know your worth, you know who you are. It becomes your identity. If you've been gaslighted into a different identity than your true identity, which is spectacular, your true self is a marvelous being. And if you've been persuaded that you're something less, that's because of the gaslighters. Whether they're physical or metaphysical, that's their job, is to take
0.1 miles, keep left.
It's to take spectacular beings and persuade them to be less than. And that ain't it, kid. That ain't it, kid. We were not destined to be less than. So once you figure out who you are, you don't need to take any more shit. You don't need to accept any lesser picture of you, any lesser reality. Somebody let that guy in. There you go. If you miss a shift in Manhattan or Queens, somebody definitely will zip in front of you, or Brooklyn, or Long Island, or wherever you're going. Everybody wants to stay in the fast lane until the last second. And then, look at that, they wanted to get over 2 lanes, and they intended to all along.
Keep right toward I-278 East.
It's possible to do that in a truck, but you've got to bluff your way through a little bit. I can make this person nervous. They have to drive on the sidewalk now. That's good. Because I'm spectacular, right? I don't need to be treated like that. I wonder who else is going to drive up on the sidewalk. You could tell that guy, girl, drove up on the sidewalk before there. So if you've been living in a shadow version of yourself for a long time, what happens in the cosmos, locally and universally, when you stop accepting the shadow picture of yourself and you say, no, damn it, I'm going to be my full self. I'm not living half-assed, I'm living full-assed from now on. What reaction do you get? What I noticed when I first moved to Millersville University was that it was contested space. It was a beautiful place, and it had a good reputation, and it was made clear to me right away by the bullies and sociopaths that you can't just waltz in there and act like you own the place. And they know who they are. Some of you may know who they are too. They bullied and harassed mercilessly, and that's what happens when you try to assume a form. Like if you're a spirit and you try to put on a form bodily or psychically, you're going to hear messages like, hey, not so fast. Who do you think you are? You can't just walk in here like that. And in New York City, you have to just go. And you don't have to be an asshole. There are a lot of assholes, and a lot of people drive like assholes. But you don't even have to be competitive, but you have to be assertive. You have so much space, you have so much air, you have so much water or whatever else you need. It's there, it's around you, and it's yours. Nobody would argue that it isn't yours. Like, everybody here knows that everybody else belongs here. They deserve to be here. But you still have to, you have to lean ahead. If you're hesitant, then you won't have any space. You won't get anywhere. Nobody, well, some people will back off a little and help you, but generally speaking, you have to assert yourself. Frederick Douglass said that power concedes nothing without a demand. Never has, never will. And that's about the size of it. So when you get that pushback, you either push back yourself against the pushback, or you just hold your ground. Depending on the mood you're in, depending on the day, you might hold your ground better some days. Other days you might push. Other days you might get your ass kicked and handed to you on a plate. But whatever you do, then there's another day after that, and another day after that. And as you establish a pattern for your life, then you end up in a destination that you wouldn't if you didn't establish that pattern. If your basic pattern is assertive, then you'll end up in a different place than if it's meek. Meek shall inherit the earth, according to Jesus. I haven't seen that. If you're meek, the only way you will inherit the earth is if the strong back away and let you have it. If, in other words, power concedes something without a demand. If that place is in the future, so be it, but there isn't any place like that now. And because the universe is not codependent, I don't care what anyone says, you just observe it. It's not codependent. It doesn't tolerate on an ongoing basis codependency. It doesn't coddle. You can do whatever you want. You can achieve, you can manifest, but you don't get things handed to you. You can hand things to other people, and that's fine. It can be fine. It isn't automatically fine. I find that when I give, I receive. I find that that's an immutable law of the universe. But I know that covert contracts don't work. When you give and you expect something in return, there's a kind of energy that you receive when you stick up for yourself over time. And definitely when you stick up for other people who are oppressed. Over time you start to feel a different kind of energy within yourself. And it's very positive, it's very happy. Or joyful, that might be a better word, or blissful. And the reason I think it feels so good is because you are changing into a different person. You have a new identity. And you have chosen it yourself. Nobody comes up to you and says, this is who you are. You've decided, this is who I am. And there's a kind of joy that comes from that. The closer you get, the slower I drive. But you can't just listen to one person and say, okay, that's what I'm going to do. When I was still a teacher, I told students they needed to do that. They can't just listen to every batshit crazy professor and then say, well, he's the one I'm going to listen to, and everyone else is probably wrong. That's not how I do it. So, know, it's lazy if you let someone else do your work for you and figure out what's true and what isn't true. If you want to know how to sort through things, you'll make mistakes, but you have to keep your own eyes open.
Take exit 28 on the right to Cadman Plaza West.
Nope, I'm not going to do that. And then you decide, nope, I'm not going to do that. And nope, I'm not going to believe that. And you use your best intuition as you sort through everything, and then you decide what's real and right, if anything is, and you do your best. And you watch the people who seem to be getting along well, and you use from them whatever you can, but you still can't just go automatically where somebody is telling you to. Like that sign there, it says 12 foot 4 inches. And this truck is more than 13 feet tall. So you're thinking, if you're unfamiliar with New York City, you're thinking, okay, what do I do? And you look at the truck ahead of you, and he's at least 12.10, 12.6, maybe 12.6. And then you look up ahead and you see a truck your size. I don't know if you can see that far, but there's a truck my size up there.
In 1/4 mile, turn right on Old Fulton Street.
And he's not even in the lane that has a higher part of the bridge. He's on the inside lane. And you can see he's not far from the bridge, but he's clearing it. And that's kind of how it goes in life. You see who's making it under the bridges and who's getting around where they need to go, and you say, okay, I won't heed the sign, I'll look at it. You always look at the signs, but you don't always heed the signs. See, the bridge is higher on the right than on the left, and big trucks go on the left. They don't seem to hug that left wall, but they go in that lane.
Turn right on Old Fulton Street.
I haven't been brave enough to try that yet.
In 1 mile, turn left on Atlantic Avenue.
The truck up ahead that's my size did change lanes out. But if the traffic were blocked, I would have to. That bus's mirror just whizzed by my mirror. That's a big ass mirror on that bus. When the inevitable pushback comes from the gaslighters, I said yesterday or the day before that you don't want to get yourself into whiny bitch mode. You don't want to complain about bad treatment. You want to insist on good treatment, expect good treatment, and instead of entering into a kind of codependency where you have to negotiate, the best thing to do is to just separate yourself from the kind of energy that wants to exploit you. You can exploit in return. You can get everything, like get your goat back. That was something I heard growing up. Don't let them get your goat. Be like, in British culture I've heard them say, and get your own back. And that mirror just about touched me too. I don't know that you have to get your goat back. I think it's easier and better and healthier to just leave or get a restraining order, do what you need to do to separate yourself from negative energy. But you can definitely turn the tables on exploiters. Bullshit, a bullshitter? I don't know. I know you can exploit an exploiter. You can bully a bully. Absolutely. I wouldn't recommend it for your karma, but it might be tempting once you learn how everything works to help them understand what it feels like to be on the other end.
In
But
1/4 miles, keep left on I-278.
But the problem with that is that bullies usually are bullies because they've been bullied and because they already know what it feels like. And they hate it so much that they just think they'll be safe if they're the one bullying. They have this innate, inherent belief that zero sum is the way it works and that you just, one way or another, somebody's going to lose. And once you believe that somebody has to lose, it puts you in a horrible place. It puts the universe in a precarious place, and it's just not worth thinking that way. So say it with me. Do no harm, take no shit. And never ever let anyone sell you short.